Hello world, this is subscribers request episode 22. I got this comment. What is your technique for paneling effect? You use knife tool, and then the guy probably he meant the sci-fi thing, because I'm doing videos of the sci-fi vehicles modeling, like quick modeling sci-fi vehicles, and probably he meant sci-fi stuff. So today I will try to show you very basic ways of doing, at least how I do it, paneling for sci-fi elements, sci-fi vehicles, sci-fi details in Blender. And I'm sorry, I totally not prepared for it. I'm kind of doing it on the fly because of the lack of the time. I don't have much time, unfortunately. So let's start with something really basic, sci-fi-ish vehicle. So very quickly I'm going to model, and when I'm doing it, I'm trying to use shapes as clear and as simple as possible, and it still has to look cool too. So most of the time sci-fi, that means it's a vehicle from future, so it has to be fast, and in order to make shape look fast, it's say the silhouette has to be kind of very, what's it called, it's very thin and streamlined. I don't know, does it suit is it possible to say the streamline about very boxy and edgy objects? For example, we have a vehicle like this with a small cabin. Is it correct to say the cabin? Little control room. I usually do vehicles like a car-like, not spaceships, but some flying cars. How flying cars supposed to look in, like sci-fi movie or something like this. Here we have some kind of car-like shape, and in order to make it even more cooler, I have to make it some kind of like aerodynamic shape, or at least relatively aerodynamic. So here, well, it's too simple now, too simplistic. Maybe it would be better to add some other elements to it. Actually, probably I should have started even with the simpler stuff. I was gonna do it very simple way, just paneling for sci-fi vehicles and sci-fi elements, decor. I don't know how to call it, sci-fi details. The shape, because I didn't sketch it, it's kind of not easy to make it really cool looking from the very beginning. Usually I do a little sketches and then I make the actual 3D modeling. This is, I think, almost complete. Here we have kind of basic, relatively cool looking thing, flying vehicle from the future. Okay, and in order to make sci-fi paneling, well, what I do, first of all, I make this kind of simplistic shape and color it black, completely black sometimes. It has a little specular on it, but I'm trying to even reduce it. I'm not doing like completely black. I leave a little bit specular on it. Usually really dark color is good enough. Then what I do is in a blender, I'm actually duplicating the shape. Now there are two shapes. With a Control D, I just duplicate it. It is two shapes, very similar. And second shape, I apply to it. Actually, have to apply mirror modifier in order to make this geometry as a whole, as a one. And probably I need to remove some interior polygons. There could be some polygons left inside it, but now it seems okay. Yeah, there is no polygons in the middle right now, so okay, we duplicated it and I apply mirror modifier to it, and now what I do, I apply solidify modifier and I change offset to a positive number, so it's kinda, it's how to say, if you know already what solidify modifier, I'm going to show it on example on just a plane, regular plane. Right now plane is a paper thin, and when you apply a solidify modifier to it, it make it solid. And Blender is a very useful thing. I use it all the time, and what it does, what it helps in the actual paneling for sci-fi. Like, just a second. And why I try to change offset to positive number. When I'm changing this, it's not visible right now what's going on, but here what's happening, if you can see it, like an actual editing object is just right on the middle. And when but I'm not trying to make it on the middle, I'm trying to kind of make a shape sticking out, or like, because before that, if I select polygon, it kind of within, inside, you can only see it from inside, and by default it was like this. And when I apply solidify modifier like this, and in order to see a difference you have to apply different material. And for outside panels, I usually use just a silver metallic material. And now if we move this object on the position of the black, the black outline, sort of inside shape. I don't know how to say it correctly. And after I apply this solidify modifier on silver material, I actually apply it completely here. So now I have, let me show you what I mean. I have something like this. It has two geometries, like because it had thickness. I don't need inside geometry, I need this outside geometry. So I select just one polygon and increase selection and just delete it. Same thing with this shapes, outside shapes. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. I'm sorry, I'm not really good at it, and because especially I didn't really sleep last night very well because of my girlfriend. Well, it's not what you think. She made me watch anime. And she's like, because we don't do things together, we don't have much things in common, and she made me watch it. I don't know, I hate it actually. I can sit through some girly movie, but anime, I didn't know. I used to like anime for sci-fi stuff, for hentai. Who doesn't like hentai? I mean, the men's supposed to like it, but I never knew that there is that much, just such a crap in anime. Because I used to watch only like full-length anime. I never watched TV series. And yesterday she made me watch the, what do you call it, the Titan. So something. Just a second. This one, Titan Attack, or Yeah, this one. And I don't know. It's I find myself like it's to me it's very difficult to sit through like a really bad movie or really bad just TV series. I can't stand it. I don't know. There are way too much fillers, if you know what I mean. Fillers is like they just talking or not doing really anything. It's just wasting time. I really, really hate it. There was some weird thing going on in this edge. Okay, let's get back to that sci-fi vehicle. Now I prepared everything for to do actual paneling. Like there is a doubled geometry slightly hovering over this black piece of geometry. So there are not going to be any see-through things when you do actual paneling. And right now this piece of geometry not really ready for paneling. Usually what I do, I also add thickness to it by applying adding solidify modifier and bevel modifier to make a little bit slightly more realistic on the corners. Look how it looks like with and without bevel. Without, with it. Without, with it. Okay. And of course there is has to be mirror modifier. It has to be duplicated to both sides. Oh, what happened? Something weird had happened. Maybe we have to... Okay. I think I know what's going on. We have to reduce bevel. Because right now bevel is 10 centimeters. We have to make it 5 millimeters. Yeah, it fixed it. 5 millimeters bevel is okay. It's maybe a little bit still too thick. Let's make it 4 millimeters. Okay. Paneling thing, actual paneling. What I noticed, like right now I'm going to show you on a very simple thing, just on the plane. Right now, plane is very flat and it has only silver metallic material and it's boring. Sci-fi panels, sci-fi shapes, I add just thickness and bevel to it right now. And also, yeah, I probably, in order to avoid issues, I'm just gonna make it 4 millimeters. Now, very simple, just 4 sides panel. Okay, now sci-fi shapes, they're like most common sci-fi shapes, in my opinion, is like this. Look. The rectangular and, well, not rectangular, like a four-sided polygon with the angle. It's a very basic like 2D shape of the sci-fi panel. This is more interesting than just a flat thing. Yeah, of course flat thing could work at some objects too, but this is the most common thing. An angle, it could be like this too. Different length, like this. Different height. This is kind of like most basic panels. And panels in sci-fi, they have cuts in it, inside the panels. And most common cut line, as I noticed, it's also just a line, and there is another line, and just angle. We can delete this 2 lines. It's not that easy now. Okay, this is very basic shape of the cut line in the sci-fi. Most common, I think. I don't know. I could be there. There might be there may be people who will disagree with me, but that's what I noticed. And I just create this cut line and make it give it some thickness with the bevel function and delete it. This way I'm creating kind of very basic cut line in a sci-fi-ish vehicle. Also, there is it could work almost anywhere. But when I'm doing the sci-fi vehicles or other sci-fi stuff, I'm trying to make it following logic. I cannot put these lines randomly. It has to work with the shaping. Okay. This is very basic stuff. This is the easiest, simplest paneling technique on the sci-fi in a common culture, in our culture. I have to read. I gotta read because I cannot express my thoughts clearly. But I totally don't have time because my girlfriend made me watch just very boring anime series. And because she got to be a jerk in our relationship, she because I think almost any girl just like that. The ladies who's gonna love you unconditionally and love you for just who you are, it's your mother and maybe your sister. That's 2 ladies gonna love you for who you are. All other girlfriends, wives, they are not going to love you this way. Okay, I got distracted again. There is another little element in sci-fi. Is like little, slightly bigger whole, not whole, but this element. If you add and delete it, it's gonna look okay, very sci-fi-ish. Very sci-fi-ish. Here. Okay. You can put it almost anywhere, this little thing. A little hole. And you can even do multiple stuff. And maybe a little bit, maybe slightly different shape, but also kind of with a similar angular design. I think it kind of came from military style, because when they make planes and other military, mostly planes object, they try to make all angles match, you know, on the cut lines, on the shapes of the planes, because of the they try to reduce surfaces with reflective surfaces, so radar wouldn't catch it. That's why they came with the same design, with always same angles on all cut lines, because they were trying to reduce amount of the surfaces, reflective surfaces of the shape. So that's why it's my just opinion. I don't know for sure. It's just my hypothesis. Is that correct to say? Hypothesis. I'm sorry. English is not my native language. Even though I really want to speak it extremely well, like a TV hosts do, you know, they speak English like extremely well. Okay, this is very basic sci-fi paneling. Sometimes, not always, I can add, just give me a second, just a circle, and reduce it to 6 polygons. Maybe you didn't see what I did there. I added circle, and because by default on the circle 32 vertices, and I reduce it to 6 to make the shape like a bolt shape, and select all the edges, press F key on the keyboard, and I got bolt. Now I can add this material, metallic material, and if I join this shape to my paneling shape, it's gonna get all the modifiers with it. So now it has thickness and bevel on it too, and I'm just adding this stuff. It's not very realistic, but from far away it's look okay. It doesn't have to be very detailed because it's a small enough object. And now you just adding on strategic areas. Don't do it too much though. 3 or 4 is usually enough. So be careful with it. Be careful with that too. Do not add too much of them. Like in real life, 3 or 4 usually is good enough, unless it's something really heavy, like visually heavy. It has to be like strong, super strong or something like that. Then you can add as much as possible. So this is how I do paneling, like very basic paneling, but it was on a flat surface. Actually, like sometimes you need to add what's they call it, well not grid, like vents they call it, vents. And the way I do it is just creating this kind of shape and just deleting some polygons. That's how you get a real vent. And because it is all on the one, what's it call it, flat, there is no curvature on the shape. It's all on the one flat surface. You can scale it relatively easy, but do not do something like this, because then you're gonna have to move all these points too. There is no automatization, unfortunately, yet. Maybe there are some ways to do it in a simpler way. Right now I only know this way. Also, it's cool, it's good to add some lights on the sci-fi geometry. Let me show you what I mean, especially on these little holes. Just create object, separate object, assign new material to it, emission, add strength to this material, and maybe change color. And because it's a geometry piece, you can change its shape. It doesn't have to be a lot it doesn't have to be too much. It can be very little, almost like point lights, just to indicate the shaping of the object, to indicate that it's a sci-fi-ish. It makes it more sci-fi look and give the shape sci-fi feel. A little lights, and there exist almost on every sci-fi and like concept art, sci-fi movie. Like this. Okay, and let's get back to this. Was example on how to make sci-fi-ish paneling from very simple stuff. This kind of this method, or not method, this kind of like cut lines and this kind of design exists almost on all sci-fi objects like spaceships, vehicles, tanks, guns, and even suits like character models too. And my way of modeling, just after I prepared everything, after I create like a black, it's basically blocker of the I make this black shape only to make the sci-fi vehicle not see-through, because sometimes through those holes and cuts you can see what's behind it, and with the black thing you will not be able to see it. So, and again, I apologize so much for not being able to express my thoughts clearly. So right now I'm showing you what I showed on the simple object. I just create this kind of cut lines and shapes on the object, on my sci-fi object, and what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to make look the shape cool looking, and this came only from this feeling. You will be able to see what's not cool, what is cool, only after you have seen like enough sci-fi objects, sci-fi say culture. Like, there are a lot of movies, a lot of concept art. Personally, I really like to look at the concept art of a good artist, how they do it. After I watch them, I get inspired, and if I'm not lazy, I'm even doing something. So I cut out like a cool shaped windows, and now I'm going to cut also like for example door line. In a similar manner, what I meant, the way I showed you on this simple example, like I showed you here. I'm just selecting I'm drawing with a knife tool the lines, then use bevel to make it thick, and just delete these faces. That's how I got cut line. Right now this thing, the issues I'm seeing right here, it is the black polygons sticking out of the shape we modeled. It is happening because of the geometry generating in Blender automatically, and those invisible edges which exist on them, let's see, I can explain it only maybe with the example. For example, there is a box, and it has this kind of geometry. Now, if we model it like this, right now there is an edge from here to here. It's just invisible yet. And if we make this all faces as a one, it's invisible yet, but here it's a little bit visible. It's supposed to be one polygon, but it's automatically create edges from one point to another point. From here to here, it's automatically created edge, and the geometry is forming automatically. You can edit it, you can influence it with creating edges manually. Like I selected this point and this point, and with the J key on the keyboard, I connected these two points, and it's automatically created edges here also from here to here, but because it's a flat surface, it's not visible. Also, it's automatically created edge from here to here, and again, it's not exist like in. If we select this face, it gets selected whole thing, but it has invisible edge right here. If we join, for example, if we subdivide this edge and let's connect this point and this point, now it's automatically created edges from here to here. It's all happening like by default. And here, by the way, from this and this point there, from this and this point, we should have expected creating an edge from here to here, but because what's it called, code, how the blender is coded right now, it's created edge from this point to this point, and it's going to change if we're going to move the point. No, it's not changing, it's still here. Well, I'm not a programmer, I don't really know how it works. It's just I'm doing it how I feel, but it's create automatically these edges, and you have to be careful with that. So that's basically what I was gonna tell you, and that's why because we made this cut line, now all polygons which were on the black object behind it now reroute themselves, and that's why this piece is sticking out, this black piece. So it's easy to fix, just make this point slightly lower, and that's it. That's it. Also, we can see kind of this area look a little bit weird. So just in similar manner I showed you on a simple paneling, this paneling, you just create these cut lines, add little this sci-fi elements, little holes, little things, little details. Sometimes you can add you can model even custom details attached to a body. Just for that you just can kind of like if you don't know what to do, don't know what to model, just go to the Google, type any sci-fi concept art. This is my source of inspiration, and or maybe we should do like Google, and if you don't know what to model, what element, what kind of detail, you can open any sci-fi art you liked, and just it's open. I don't know why it opened this. No, I cannot scroll. I cannot zoom really well. Yeah, it's a little bit low quality. Maybe I should find something a little bit bigger. It's even less quality. Probably it would be better idea to do this. If you feel stuck, they call it, writers have it like a writer's block. If you don't know what to do with your object, you can always do something like this. Open sci-fi art you like, and kinda steal the element you like shape, or just a little piece of the vehicle of the. It could be. It's not necessarily has to be vehicle. It could be a plane or spaceship. For example, this shape. I like this thing, and I can model something like this too, like circle, add polygons to it. And you don't have to do even exact copy. You have to do just something similar. Like this. Okay. Very quickly, sometimes not very quickly. It really depends on the complexity of the 3D model you're trying to 3D element you're trying to steal. Is that stealing? They say good artists always steal, but you're not stealing the actual art, you're just stealing the element, or as they say, you're just getting influenced by it. You're getting inspiration. You're not really stealing someone else's. like intellectual property. Well, what I'm trying to say, it should not be exact copy. Like this. Okay. And that sci-fi element, it has this element through it. And I can try to model something like that too. Actually, yeah, I'm gonna have to select it one by one. Here we basically have a little sci-fi element. Did we steal it? Maybe a little bit, right? And here you can add it on the surface of your sci-fi vehicle, and it's gonna look like a nice piece of detail. Maybe not here, maybe here. It would look better. And this is how you steal intellectual property, partially. Does it look like this one? Not really. It is different. And you can make it even more different, because actually, personally, I like it more like this. Now no one can tell you that you steal it. Is this a piece of geometry? Okay. Is it how long is it? Oh, it is almost an hour, and as I told you, I have an issue with uploading 3D models on internet, because my internet connection is not really good. Okay, so most likely this is it for today. I hope you like it. And again, I have to apologize for being not prepared for making tutorials, because I'm doing it on the fly. I don't have time, unfortunately. I really wish I had a little more time to do it. So if you like it, like it. If you don't like it, you can always leave a mean comment on the comment section below. So till next time, bye bye.